Hello and welcome back to another video. So this video, we are doing another build. I hope you're back from the Titan video or new to this one. If you are, welcome. So this build I like to call a sort of like necrotic flame build. I'm sure you can immediately see we have Osteo and necrotic grips already fire on their own. But yeah, we have Osteo. I haven't really gotten any of the like customizations for it yet. But what Osteo does, if you don't know, it fires toxic projectiles, so it's kind of like Thorn, but a machine gun. And then its Toxic Overload, landing a final blow or multiple precision hits, triggers a burst of poison that poisons nearby allies or enemies. So this build kind of is like full-on ad clear. What Necrotic Grip, what that does if you don't know, damaging a combatant poisons them, dealing increased damage over time. Defeating a poisoned combatant spreads the condition. This also provides moderate benefit to airborne effectiveness and weapons of sorrow. So, if you're into that, there it is. For our subclass, we have Well of Radiance. I normally run Daybreak, but I had Well because I was doing the dungeon. But yeah, so we have Daybreak. And then we have Phoenix Dive, because it will scorch your targets upon landing, while also curing you and nearby allies. The Burst Glide, I just kind of like it, that's up to you. We have Incinerator Snap. So, the cool thing with this is if they have the poison on them, and you snap, anyone who dies from the snap and poison combined will trigger multiple explosions. And then we have the Solar Grenade for a similar purpose, but I think this one's just good for ad clear comparatively. Heat Rises, you can fly through the air and throw grenades while gliding, but this also gives you a burst of healing if you need it, so you can use it for offense and defense purposes. And then we have Touch of Flame. This makes your grenades kind of just have bonus effects to them, so for a Solar Grenade, it lingers longer and it shoots out little goo balls everywhere. So, makes it pretty nice to have around. Then we have Ember of Singeing. Class ability recharges faster when you scorch targets, which your class ability itself scorches targets, so it refills itself. Powered melee attacks against combatants make you and nearby allies radiant. Being radiant gives you a damage buff, which is pretty solid to have around, especially when you're doing with mostly ad clear. And then you apply more Scorch stacks with Ember of Ashes, which goes hand in hand with Ember of Singeing and your dive alone. And then we have Ember of Searing. Defeating scorched targets gives you melee energy. So you can snap, which also scorches targets. You can see where I'm going. So, with these things combined, you can fire the machine gun, proc the gloves and the machine gun to get your explosions going, and when they're weak, if you snap while they're covered in the poison, when they explode with the poison, it'll spread the scorch, and they'll all explode, so you can kill multiple people at once, triggering multiple explosions. For my secondary, this one's actually part of the build. We have Explosive Personality, which, if you don't know, it's a wave frame, so you shoot the ground and it shoots a line on the ground that can clear multiple enemies at once. I have the roll Stats for All 1 for All, which hitting 3 targets gives moderate damage increase. It's a wave frame, so you're most likely going to hit more than 3 targets. And then Stats for All, doing the same thing, gives you handling, stability, reload speed, and range, which is pretty good for a weapon like this. Having both is very solid, and then I have a Velocity Masterwork, which just so I can shoot a little farther. Boss damage spec if I really want to hit the boss with it. And then your heavy is really up to you. I normally use auto-loading demo so I can keep my grenades cycling and running into my other abilities and things. But let's look at some mods. So, for the helmet we have Elemental Charge. Picking up an Elemental Well that matches your type will give you stacks of charge with light. And then we have Hands-On, gain bonus super energy on melee kills. And then this one, you don't need too much. This could be swapped out for something else if you want to, but I use it just to kind of get Daybreak, to get that Scorch going if, like, my abilities happen to all be on cooldown somehow. Elemental Ordnance, defeating a combat with your grenade spawns a well that matches your subclass enemy or energy type. and the wells also will grant ability energy to all your abilities. I think it's weakest to fullest. Then we have double impact induction, causing damage with a melee attack will reduce your melee cooldown. They stack with each other, so we have 2 of them. You hit the little, hit your grenade, throw your snap, and then you get your cycle going that way. The chest piece, we have supercharge. You can have extra stacks of charge with light. That one's just so you can hold more orbs, because I want to say we have high energy fire on here. No, we have heavy-handed. Okay. But, yeah, we have supercharge, so you can have 5 orbs instead of 3. Concussive dampeners just kind of, you don't want to get killed by none of that AoE nonsense, so we have that. You could switch it out if you want to. It's, it's one of the mods you can switch out. Heavy-handed, while charged with light, you regain half your melee energy when you use a charged melee, consuming a stack of charged with light, so you snap, instantly have it half full, and then you can cycle it because we have 5 over 3. Innervation reduces melee cooldown each time you pick up an orb of light. So when you super, you're going to drop a bunch of orbs, run up, pick them up, start eating the orbs. And then for our bond, we have Wrath of Rasputin, because we're doing a lot of fire AoE with the snap and the gun, and your super and grenade and all that. So we just make some Warmind cells just for the sake of making them. And then we have Double Bomber. So Double Bomber reduces grenade cooldown when using your class ability. You're going to want to Scorch people, you're going to use your class ability. So it's kind of like a build that kind of works into itself, where like you kind of run in, you dive, you throw a grenade, you snap, you shoot them, you snap, and it cycles. You'll pretty much never have things on cooldown with this build. And then I guess if you want this looks not too special, but if you want it, here it is. My inspiration was kind of going for like a necromancer kind of look, seeing it's like the corrupted flame or poisonous flame and such. Stat spread, really up to you. I went 100 recovery because that gives me my class ability a lot faster. And then discipline, because you want to have your grenade and or melee back really quickly. But since they cycle, I went fully for grenade, so I can throw my grenade and cycle all my abilities really quickly. You could also go for, spec all into strength if you have more mods that help your melee get your grenade back. Or you could go intellect if you really want to speed up your super. Or resilience if you really want to, just stay alive a little longer. But yeah, that's the build. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next video.